Hello, UW-Madison undergrad InterVarsity. What's up? My name is Kevin Freitag. I'm a 2014 graduate of InterVarsity Christian Fellowship from the UW there, and I want to share with you for just a couple minutes my story in InterVarsity or pieces of it that I think can really help cast vision for what a witnessing community looks like, how it impacted me, how it has continued to impact me, my time there in university with a witnessing community of other members. I think one of the most important things that a witnessing community should do on a college campus is to follow the Great Commission and to make disciples. Um, and I think it takes on two main forms. The first of which, obviously, is introducing those who are not walking with Christ to Christianity. And that's kind of where my university story begins because I went to college as an 18-year-old agnostic who didn't really care about God, didn't really care about anyone besides myself, and uh, just wasn't really interested in Christianity or in religion or anything like that. But my interactions with an InterVarsity witnessing community started very quickly for me that freshman year because my sister, who happens to now be your staff worker, Christy, and a group of her friends, her small group, members of her witnessing community, lived in a dorm, in a freshman dorm that was right next door to mine. So as much as I tried to avoid my sister and all of her Jesus freak friends, that like I called them at the time, I really couldn't because the transition to college for me was more difficult than I maybe would have expected. But uh, I found friendship. I found genuine people that wanted to get to know me, that wanted to hang out with me, that wanted to do things with me, study and eat dinner and things like that. I found those people in an university witnessing community. They were the first people to really make me feel like I was a part of something, like I really had friends, even though at the time I wasn't a Christian and wasn't all that interested in any of that. Um, but through my interactions with that witnessing community, with that small group Bible study, I was invited to go to the cross training conference in the fall in November with some members of that community. And I decided to go mostly because it was a weekend to get away from campus and to hang out with my friends. I went and I left campus Friday as, like I said, an agnostic, someone who wasn't a Christian, who didn't care about God, didn't care to know that much about it. And I came back to campus that Sunday after cross training as a believer, a follower of Christ, someone who was just beginning my journey to understanding what a witnessing community is, what being a disciple of Jesus really means. Um, so that change was very abrupt for me. It isn't always very abrupt, but it was for me, and I don't want to take time to go into the details here. It's a much longer story than I want to take time for. But it was because of my interactions with the people in that witnessing community right away, immediately when I moved in, um, that encouraged me to go to this conference and to just be touched by God, to be met there by Jesus, and really changed for the better for the rest of my life. And uh, so that's the first part of making disciples, right? Is to invite those who aren't Christians to experience God, to bring them to conferences like Winter Retreat or Cross Training or Chapter Focus Week, um, and just allow them to be introduced to God and to experience Him and to be met by Christ right where they're at. So I think that's one really important aspect of a witnessing community is to be kind of the hands and feet on campus, the front lines, if you will, of meeting people of all backgrounds, of all uh, whatever category you want, of all genders, ethnicities, religions, sexualities, and all of that stuff. to meet them on campus and to begin to make them feel like you really care about them, because that's the way you begin to invite them into experiences with God. But I don't think making disciples ends with that. I don't think making disciples as a witnessing community should only be about inviting people to conferences or inviting people to experience God or to become a Christian or to say a prayer or whatever cliche thing you want. I think another really important part of making disciples as a witnessing community is actually fostering some discipleship after the fact for those that are already Christians or for those that have just become Christians, to as a witnessing community come alongside of those people and walk with them and teach them, and encourage them and pray for them and pray with them, and do all of those things to help them grow in their faith and to foster some of their faith. So that was something that I definitely experienced from those people who had brought me to cross training in the fall. They brought me there in November. I became a Christian November 7th of 2009. And the whole rest of that school year, I was encouraged by those people. I was prayed for by those people. I was taught by those people what it really looks like to be a Christian. And it's things that I now pass on to others as a part of the community that I'm in, where I live now. I still feel like I have things to contribute, things to teach, and things to encourage people with because of my time in that witnessing community in InterVarsity. And in witnessing communities that came in years to follow, because they always look different from year to year. And in the ones that followed, I was blessed to have the opportunity to encourage others and to help teach others and help others grow in their faith and really step out in a lot of ways. And one of the coolest ways I remember doing that was we did this thing called a proxy station. I'm sure some of you are somewhat familiar with that. Proxy station is something that you use on campus to kind of engage people that just happen to be walking by, and you start to engage them in spiritual conversations, and you bless them, and you tell them about Jesus, and you tell them that God loves them, and you just listen to them, and it's kind of guided evangelism, if you will. So I remember doing quite a few of those in my time in college, and one in particular, after I'd done it quite a few times, I remember being at one where we had quite a few new people, not necessarily new to Christianity, but new to that type of evangelism, at the proxy station working, I shouldn't say working, well, working, I suppose, for Jesus, working for the harvest at that time. And I felt like in that time, God really led me to take a step back and to allow those people to just experience that type of evangelism and experience what it looks like to step out in that way in faith, where you're really putting yourself out there and you don't know how people are going to react. You don't know what kind of conversations you're going to have. But I was blessed in that time just to be kind of as an older member of that witnessing community, or as the general InterVarsity witnessing community. I got a chance to just kind of step back and spend some time praying over people from a distance and just watching them and praying for them and praying that the Spirit would be working through them and helping them in all those conversations, and talking with them afterwards and being able to encourage them with things that they were struggling with in certain conversations, or encouraging them and praising God with them for really awesome conversations that they got to have in that time. It was really cool to see how that group of people grew in just those 1 or 2 hours. And I got to witness that, and I got to be a part of kind of guiding them in that and encouraging them in that and praying for them and teaching them things that I had been taught by others. So witnessing communities on a college campus are some of the most amazing witnessing communities that you'll find anywhere, because there's so many people so close together. It's something that you don't really understand until you leave, but now looking back, I can see how my experience with witnessing communities in InterVarsity has really shaped who I am as a Christian today, and um, how it's helped me to see both aspects of making disciples. How I got to experience being invited to a conference and just being met by Jesus and encountering God there, and then how I was also able to help guide others in that were already Christians in growing in certain aspects of their faith. So I think in the discussions that you guys have about what witnessing communities look like, I want to encourage you to keep both of those things in mind. That witnessing communities are primarily there to make disciples on a college campus in one of the most unique and amazing environments that you will ever experience for the rest of your lives. So be blessed. I'll be praying for you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, get my info, and I'd love to tell you more or help encourage you or answer questions that you might have. But I trust God that He's doing amazing things there through all the witnessing communities that still exist, and I'm just encouraged and excited to see what He does with it moving forward in this next semester. So be blessed and have fun.